let's talk about 8 things that make the 2024 Tacoma better. I'm talking about better than any previous version or any previous generation. You know, the new Tacoma is getting a lot of dislike out there, it seems, at least from the vocal few. But I'm here to tell you, there's 8 things that you're going to notice that make the Tacoma, the 2024, better. Number 1, the engine. This is an awesome setup, and I know it is a 4-cylinder turbo, but the amount of power, the amount of acceleration, the fun factor in driving the Toyota Tacoma is there. Nice and quick off the line, smooth, seamless acceleration. They really did a fantastic job, and part of that is because of the new 8-speed transmission, something we can't easily see, I guess, unless we crawl underneath the truck. But the Tacoma has needed an 8-speed transmission for years. In my opinion, we finally have it, and it is awesome. Next up, the rear suspension. Of course, we have a new rear suspension. We have new brakes back here too. But we have a new rear suspension here in the back, and it makes a heck of a difference. This truck is now so smooth, you'd think you were riding around in some kind of luxury vehicle. Almost. I mean, it is still a truck, right? But it made a heck of an improvement, much better, in my opinion, than previous generations when it comes to ride comfort, I guess. Next, interior design. Something that might be arguable among some. I think it is a definite improvement. I will state that when I first saw the truck, I was really concerned. I just saw something I didn't realize was here. There is a USB or an output rather here on the side, a connection. I didn't even know that was there. Anyway, they've got it set up really nice in here, and I like the improvements that they've made, such as the center area here. We've got this little slotted area on the side where you could actually hang stuff if you wanted. Too nice. Full-size cup holders in the middle, couple cup holders back here, nice comfortable armrest in the center, and of course the new shifter and drive selector setup in the center, as well as the new radio display. Now, one of my biggest concerns was that it was going to look really like a floating iPad in the center there. And while it is still kind of a rectangular stick out point, if you will, I mean, it does kind of jut out a little bit. They did do a really nice job at integrating it here in the center. I like that. Of course, we've got Tacoma right here across the front. I think that's a nice touch. And then this nice storage cubby area here. I've got the new seats in here. Awesome. I think it looks really good on the inside. The nice big beefy control knobs. A really good job, I think, on Toyota's part of updating the inside. Now, when I think back to the 3rd gen, it feels to me like it's a bit dated. Next up, number 6, fuel economy. Now, this isn't earth-shattering, and I don't think it's going to be in the hybrids either, but it is an improvement. With mods, the little asterisk or caveat there, I was getting about 14.5 to somewhere in the 16s in my previous 3rd gen Tacoma. Now, the only thing I did there was put a little bit bigger tires. I mean, they weren't extreme, and there was a little bit more added weight in the form of a sport bar and some other things, I suppose, a front bumper, but nothing that would kill the fuel economy that badly, in my opinion, or it shouldn't anyway. I'm getting in the mid-18s now, so almost a 4 mile per gallon increase, and it's still climbing. That is primarily city driving. If I was to drive this truck more out on the freeways, I'm sure I would be in the 20s, doing much better than I was doing before in the previous Tacoma. Number 7, and I've touched on this a little bit, ride comfort. It is so smooth. I cannot get over how smooth this truck is. Honestly, besides the acceleration or the power of the 4-cylinder turbo, it was the first thing that I noticed. Driving down the road in this truck, compared to the 3rd gen, It just felt like you were gliding, almost floating as you were moving along. Again, it's another testament, I guess, to Toyota's change in the suspension setup, primarily in the rear. I mean, I don't know that we really have anything too much different here in the front. Everything is, at least in appearance, pretty much the same when I look under here. Now, in all fairness, my truck is lifted about 2 inches, but if anything, that should have made it worse with the experiences I've had in the past. I'll tell you, I had a 2020 Tacoma. It was a 6-speed manual, which, by the way, was horrible. That manual transmission was, I don't know, circa 1970, I'm not sure. But that truck, after I lifted it, I put a 3.5-inch lift on it, and this is my fault, was rough, really rough. When I hit railroad tracks or bumps and things in the road, you felt them every time. Again, my fault, but it wasn't the smoothest truck in the world before that. It was a TRD off-road, by the way. This is a TRD Sport, which strangely has or seems to have a smoother ride than what I've experienced in the past. I had a Sport a while back, and it seemed to me to ride more harsh than the TRD off-road did. And I think as I think about that, the Sport should have a crisper suspension than what the TRD off-road would have anyway, because the TRD off-road is designed to go off-road and absorb the bumps and things. So I guess you would expect the off-road to be smoother. And I'd be very curious to drive an off-road and see how it feels. Number 8, the gauge cluster. Man, I gotta tell you, the gauge cluster in this truck, let's see if we can't jump inside and take a quick look. The gauge cluster in this truck is just awesome. Everything digital, nice and crisp. I love the way that they've done it. Now, you can even see right there in the center, the truck is alerting me that I have the hood open. Of course I do. You can see it right there. And if I open a door, you can now see the door is open as well. I love I guess the display or readouts that they have in the truck to alert you that something's off. Now, that's not unique. Certainly the other truck had similar features as well, but it's just much bigger, much crisper in this truck. Lastly, taking a look at the radio screen while we're sitting here with the truck running, nice and crisp. I'll show you the rear view and the camera. You guys can see that is nice and crisp. I think Toyota just did a fantastic job with this truck. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, kind of run through 8 improvements, 8 things that make the 4th gen, in my opinion, better than the 3rd. Again, I'm not dogging the 3rd gen. It's an excellent truck. This version, this remodel, I guess, or new model, is just another step forward in the evolution of the Toyota Tacoma. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've seen one in person, or maybe you've bought one. What do you think of it? Is it better, or you'd prefer just to go back to the 3rd gen? I'd just be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.